Hey guys, I want to tell you about one of my favorite new companies, and that is Rep Provisions. So I met these guys at PaleoFX last year where they were just blowing everyone away with their beef sticks and pecan nut butter combo packs that are outrageously delicious. But as I talked to them, I was even more blown away because I found out what they were about. They are a regenerative agriculture company committed to the future of the planet by the proper management of cattle. So they are regenerating America's grasslands with the management of their cattle. Look into it. It's amazing. They have everything from, of course, high quality grass-fed, grass-finished beef to Mongolisa pork, which is like the Wagyu of pork, to bone broth popsicles, pecan nut butters, like I said, and so many amazing things. Go support them and support the future of our planet. And they're giving you 15% off for being a Kick-Ass Life podcast listener. So use coupon code KICKASSLIFE and get 15% off at repprovisions.com.
Hey everyone, we're going to take a minute here at the top of the show to chat with you about some of our sponsors who are offering incredible discounts for you and your family. We also only align ourselves with companies that we know are providing safe and healthy products, and also products that we actually consume on a regular, if not sometimes daily basis. And one of those companies is Primal Kitchen. Primal Kitchen products are incredible because they are dairy-free, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free with no refined sugar. And they are delicious. So visit primalkitchen.com to check out the vast array of products available and use code KICKASSLIFE for 10% off.
All right, guys. So today we're talking about how to get hired or how to ask for a raise or how to get the job that you want. How do you show up in a place of empowerment and putting your best foot forward? And for this episode, I actually went straight to Napoleon Hill, straight to Think and Grow Rich, because he has an entire chapter about this in Think and Grow Rich, and it's amazing. So he has like a 7-step process in that book where he teaches you how to do this. I highly recommend if you're wanting to increase your income or just be able to better present yourself and really understand your own value and how to help other people see your value, I would definitely get Think and Grow Rich. So I'll start off. The first step that he shares is decide exactly what kind of job you want. I know that sounds obvious, but think about this. Okay, you want to be, let's say you want to be a teacher. Think about it deeply. Do you really want to spend your free time planning lessons? Let's say you don't have enough time in your prep period. Do you want to spend your free time doing that? Do you want to have the possibility of teenage kids or little kids or whatever giving you crap, and and they tell you that they hate you and blah, 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 and you have to deal with the emotional turmoil of that later on? Do you want to like have to have like something planned every day that's super effective? Like, think about that, right? Or would you rather maybe just like be in the schools? Maybe you'd rather be in administration, maybe you like leading better, like, but you still kind of want to be in that environment, right? So it's like really dive into exactly what kind of job you want. I'll keep rolling, and then Elle, as you have interjection, just feel free to pipe in here.
Well, let me pipe in on that first one. So sometimes people are in a situation where you just need a job and it doesn't really, like, you just need money, right?
True.
Like it's, oh my God, I need a job. So in those scenarios, and then we'll talk more about this in a bit, but your dumb, I just need a job can actually turn into something awesome, which has
True.
happened to me several times. So there's always that. But again, sometimes, so we'll talk about both. We'll talk about manifesting, like, like your career and your dream and getting kind of clear, and hopefully you can do that. And sometimes you're just in a situation where you're like, oh my God, rent is due. I've got kids.
I need anything.
Yeah. And then in that case, you got to go the other way, but keep on going.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I think, feeling safe, establishing safety first is so important before you dive into like your dream scenario. Like, if you don't have enough money to pay your bills, you won't be able to get into a creative space of expansion because you literally are in scarcity. Like, you literally are in survival mode. And so your decisions that you're making are going to be based off a survivalist mentality. So let's say maybe you have a job right now and you want to do your own thing, right? You're trying to decide, how do I do that? How do I break off into this new thing? Like, I definitely don't recommend just like quitting your job. I know that they can feel like, well, then I'll be all in. Okay, maybe if you have a husband or wife that can help, things are covered in order for you to be able to do that. But I would definitely recommend making sure that you're safe and comfortable first, because if you don't do that, you will start making decisions in this business or this dream job that are purely like money based because you need money. You're in a place of needing from other people instead of being able to contribute to other people. So establishing your own safety first is huge no matter what, right? So I guess where I'm going, this is good because where I'm going is more on the realm of manifesting the dream, the dream job, right? But we'll parallel it to, reality in the meantime
Yeah,
from where
because
you're
I
starting.
think talking about some of the practical stuff is important, and then
Mhm.
we can get into like the ethereal, like really how do you take it to another
Mhm.
level to
Mhm.
manifest it through energy? Because
Yeah.
I have seen people quit jobs with only 3 weeks of, like 1 month of money left for everything and had full faith that they were able to do that and the job
Mhm.
came in without even them looking for it,
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
True.
you have to be in that space.
Yeah.
And she was confidently in that space, so
Yeah.
again, it can happen, but if not, then you might need to take more action.
Yeah, yeah, and we're not going to tell you what's right for you, but we'll tell you some cool tips that are food for thought for you, right? So, all right, and for me, like when I branched into my running full time my own coaching business, I still was part time working for Drew Manning, our friend. I was still part time with him, and I didn't fully branch off until my own until I was making more in my own business than I was with him, and I was completely covered, right? So it was a good
Nice.
transition that way. So maybe doing a part-time of each as you transition into things, if you can be in that kind of position would be awesome. At least it was for me. All right. Second from Think and Grow Rich, choose the company or individual you wish to work for. Okay. So get some clarity there. It sounds a little obvious. And third, study. This is interesting, right? Study your prospective employer for their policies and for chances of advancement. So learn about the company, right? Like for yourself, but also so you can present yourself well in the interview and understand where you might fit in to that organization. Because how can you present your value when you don't even really know what your value is for that organization? Are you valuable to them? Like, do you have something cool to offer? Like, be real about that. And because when like I know for me, when I've gone into job interviews in the past, and I'm like, dude, I know I'm a good fit for these guys. Like, they're gonna love me. Like, this is a win for everybody. Then it is, and I get hired, right? Because I see how I fit in there, and it's the truth of that resonates with everyone,
Yeah, you
right?
got to do your research. I mean, even like as an actor here in LA, if I have an audition for a show that I've never seen, you better believe I'm going to go watch that show.
Yeah.
You need to know what's the tone, what's the deal. So go look up this company, read reviews from ex-employees that are out there on Glassdoor or whatever the other websites are, and just take a look.
Mhm.
And it might give you more ammunition. You might see something about that company that really resonates with you that you're able to bring up and be quite impressive in an interview.
Yeah. Yep. And I like that he points out chances of advancement. So beginning with the end in mind. So understanding like, hey, maybe I'm gonna be a teacher, but actually someday I would like to be like a district official doing over physical performance athletics or whatever in schools. I'm using schools as an example. So like knowing what's possible for you is also a self-loving move, and it also will help you like take the right track and get on the right trajectory inside that company, right? So understanding like what's possible for you is definitely important, right? And I think that's common sense. I think most people hopefully at least hope that they can advance, like, but anyway,
Yeah, that's an important, we'll get to like interview questions like that, but like that's an important thing to ask. Like, does your company promote from within?
yeah, yeah.
Learning about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And fourth, analyze yourself and figure out what you can offer in the form of services and ideas. So really take that self inventory. And like I was just saying, like really look at yourself and be like, how could I bring value to these guys, right? This to me, this is the most important part. In any what whether you're doing your own business or you are working for somebody else, it's so important to understand like what is the value that other people can get from me, like identifying that, right? It's like what unique thing do I kind of have to offer to the world that is valuable to others. It's important to know that, so then when you identify that, you can communicate it, and if it's true, it resonates with people, right? So really figure out what you can offer and ideas, not just services, but also ideas, like how you think is valuable to them. And if it fits the company, it's going to be really cool win-win for everybody. Fifth is on along the same lines, concentrate on what you can give and not what you can get. Right? Concentrate on that. I think, anytime you're in a job, like the more you are contributing, the more things are going to start flowing. Hopefully, I would, in an ideal situation, like if you stay focused on my boss doesn't value me, they don't, like they don't pay me enough for this. I'm not being valued, blah, blah, blah. Get out of that mindset. It's not helping you. It's actually going to make you play smaller. So just keep contributing, keep standing in your greatness. I have one of my clients that shares a lot of her thoughts with this. She's in an executive position in a company, and she's amazing. And she'll have these moments where she starts to feel that tension. Somebody's not valuing her. Somebody's not. They're like kind of trying to push her down or like stomp on her ideas, or she's in that. And she has to take that moment of self inventory with herself and say, okay, what is actually going on here, and how can I, as a leader, manage this instead of getting into this like my boss or whoever isn't valuing me. So she's constantly bringing her own value to it. So she's like, I need to have a conversation with him. I need to get real about it. I need to like have some empathy for him. I see that maybe he's a little stressed. There's a lot of pressure on him and he's kind of taking it out on others. So maybe I can come to him in a place of like, what do you need help with? And standing in her greatness instead of smallness is huge. So I'd say, yeah, like constantly think, whether you're already in a job and you want to advance, or maybe it's a job interview, focus completely on what you can give. It will put you in such a positive place, and it will really contribute, and other people will see your value and you will be compensated for that.
Yeah, and on that same note, with the end result in mind, the way to flip this one too is someone is out there looking for you.
Mhm.
It's out there looking for you. Think about the other person and how excited someone's going to be that they get to employ you. It helps you review all the things that are wonderful about you, that you can contribute all the good qualities, and just think about it that way. A very good way of thinking about it is like, hey, when you're putting out the resumes or you're doing the thing, it's, I only want people that resonate with me and I resonate with them. I'm just putting my best foot forward out there. I'm looking for the best connection. There may be some I meet that
Mhm.
don't. That's okay. Just putting out that vibe and really thinking about, like, excited for the person who's going to hire you.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, it's like what my friend did with flipping the script on selling a house. They had a really hard time selling a house, and then finally, it was actually my coach years ago, and he finally, instead of thinking about getting the money or selling the house and the end result of where they were going to be next, he was like, wait a minute, and he flipped it, and he started to think about the person who would buy his house and
Mm,
looking out the window for the first time.
very cool.
Maybe it would be their first house. Maybe it's a big upgrade for them. Maybe and just reliving those moments when he had first moved in there and thinking about how happy someone would be there. And I just had a friend that tried that sold their
Beautiful.
house in 2 days
Mm.
from just me saying that and me going, hey, why don't you try this? And then they called and they were like, oh my God, my house is already, you know, sold.
Yeah.
So again, I like that, like flipping that script, and what it does is it's really kind of showering yourself with self-confidence and self-esteem by thinking
Mhm.
about how excited someone would be to have you on their team.
Yeah, when you're coming in an attitude of service, that's gonna the reciprocity that comes from that is going to be
Mhm.
beautiful because you're giving off beautiful energy. With my clients, like I'm constantly thinking like, how can I do better for them? Like, what else do they need? Like, what would be awesome for them? Where am I like not? What where am I lacking? Like, so my attitude is constantly service. Like, how if I were them, what would I want? Or what do I really think they need? And as I come in that energy, it's like it's really beautiful. It builds the relationship. It provides more value, and I think like we have so much success mindset. This is basically a success mindset podcast. Everyone's thinking about success, success, success. And a lot of times when we think of success, we think of money, right? Like money and success are equated. And man, I'm getting further and further away from that mindset. Like it's just like, yeah, like I understand that money is energy and that I'm worthy of money and all that stuff, but it's not what drives me. What drives me is value, giving, 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 and being able to receive, being able to know my own worth and receive that back, but being real about what that actually is also, I feel like, really healthy. And then continuing to just serve and give more in a beautiful energy is like the money follows that. right? And I have a friend, it's one of my kids' friends' dad. He works in wealth management, and he was saying, he works with a lot of extremely wealthy people. And he's like, yeah, the extremely wealthy people, they are not driven by money. Like, I don't know, not a single one of them that I know personally is motivated by money. Money is like not even a thing to them anymore. Like, it's just, they know it's always going to be coming. So what drives them is service. He's like, you think in contribution and creating greatness. He's like, do you think Elon Musk cares about how much money he's going to make next month? Like, it's never going to
At this
stop
point,
coming.
he doesn't at all.
Right. He's like, it's never going to stop coming. And so, like, do you think success to him is money? Not at all. Right. So, like,
And by
what?
the way, there are plenty of people right now who make 10 times more money than both of us combined that wish they were living our lives. It's just the
Right.
truth. I mean, I'm not saying like everybody should feel that way. I'm just saying there are people that are like, but I wish I had that. Like, I have the money, I have the
Yeah.
house, I have that, but I wish I was pursuing my dreams. I wish I loved what I do.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's important, like identifying what is success to you. What does success is success a dollar amount? Because I honestly, like, I sure hope not. It doesn't mean you can't have that. But if that's all success is to you, you're going to feel real empty when you get there. And I do see that because I am in some masterminds with people who are super wealthy, right? And they're in that space. They're like I made it, but I feel empty inside.
Yep.
And in like what I have observed is that they put a lot of focus into making money. So they did it. Like, if you put all your energy into something, like, you're probably going to get there. So defining what does success actually look like to you? And the way I have done this, to me, what success looks like is, yes, I have built so many win-wins for my coaches and clients that are all like building awesomeness together, that I can have a little more time to have peace with my family at home, and to just feel peace knowing that everybody else is winning from me serving and being able to create those wins for them. Like, and I have a very strong visualization with it, like being by nature, by water. Like, my house has like lots of windows. Like, I'm there, I'm like present with my kids, and I'm taking care of my team and my coaches and my people, but I'm also like have created peace and calm for myself. That's what success looks like to me, so that I can have more time to be fully present with all of my loved ones or anybody who comes to a retreat with me. Like, that's success, is like just pure presence and creating wins for other people, right? It's not a dollar amount, although I do have financial goals. Like, that's not
And for
what
some
drives
people,
me.
it may be that. It may be like, look, success to me is happiness, and happiness is rooted in having enough money for all the things I want and never fearing for it. Okay. Let's see if when they get there, they might have some
Right.
more ideas
And
on what
that's,
they want to do, but that could be someone's idea of success, and that's okay too. I
I
think in
think it's
general,
part of it, right?
success
It's,
is happiness, right? No matter which way you
yeah.
see it. You could be, like on a peacekeeping mission in Africa and be totally happy living like a life of making practically nothing, or happy as a huge entertainment attorney. It really is, but it's whatever your definition of happiness is.
Yep, you nailed it on the head. I have thought that many times with my clients. I'm like, they don't want to lose weight. They don't want to be fit. They don't want to make more money. They just want to be happy.
Yeah.
They want to be the end goal of all of these things they're doing is they want to be happy. That's what drives all of us. And what our perception of what creates happiness is
Right.
what we do.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. So anyway,
Is that the whole?
nope, there's two more.
Okay.
The sixth one is, once you have a plan in mind, meet with it. This is interesting. Meet with an experienced writer and put it on paper in good form and in deep detail. I thought that was really interesting. It's kind of like having a copywriter for your resume. That's what he's basically suggesting, which I do think is interesting. I was in a mastermind with a woman who writes books for people for a living. So she's also a copywriter, and she's a marketing expert and really good at presenting someone, right? And she was telling me, she's like, you got to stop calling yourself a personal trainer. That's what she was telling me. She's like, stop calling yourself that. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, it's like, you're not just a personal trainer. Like, it's making you sound like you just work at a gym for like $10 an hour. And I was like, oh, okay. But I want people to know that I do offer training services. She's like, I know, but you got to change your wording. And she's giving me some ideas. And I was like, wow, that actually sounds really cool. So there is, value in hiring an expert to help you identify what you're really bringing in a way that, like, it sounds true, but a little better than like, I'm a trainer. Like, it's like, what are you really? Right. And so as I was preparing for this episode, I was like, I think I need to hit her up about that again.
Well, by the way, I'm really good at that. So, I used to hire people for a
Mm,
living. So I was a recruiter. I looked at resumes all day long. I hired 100 people throughout the state of California. And, my friends always come to me when they want the resume thing. And speaking practically about resume, I just want to throw a couple things. First of all, don't ever put dates of education. I don't care when you graduated, don't put it on there. You don't want any kind of age discrimination issues unless you just graduated from college. This is your first job and that's okay. But otherwise don't. And of course, never put your address, just put your phone number and email at the top. The other thing too about resumes is that when you're a recruiter and you're looking at hundreds of resumes a day, and I know a lot of them are online forms you fill out probably now, but if your actual standard resume, if it's not aesthetically pleasing to my eyes as the recruiter, it's going to annoy the shit out of me. So the way to do that is make sure that you are consistent in everything that you do. So let's say with each job. So let's say you've got 4 jobs on there. Obviously the first one, I think left side, you put like the dates, July, to present. Then it's like you bold the name of the company and underneath that italicize the title, production assistant, whatever. And then below that, bullet points of what you do. Here's why it's good to have someone else look at it. Half the time when my friends, and they've all come to me over the years for this, because they know this is what I used to do. Every time they come to me, they short sell themselves and how they present themselves. You need someone there to be asking you questions about what you do. And then you go, that's what you do? That's really impressive. Why'd you put that first? Also, always put first the order of appearance, the things that are more important. Don't put them important. Like you do filing. Okay, fuck that. Unless you're just administrative assistant, that's great. Put filing at the last of all the things that you do. It's really like a no-brainer. A dog can file. Okay, so you know what I mean? So you want to make sure. So for example, I had a friend who is in production. They worked with so many celebrities, Jennifer Aniston, Tom Hanks, you name it, all of them. And I made sure that when they listed it, the most important ones, the most famous came first, right?
Yeah, right.
Or their jobs, like they worked for Honda, Lexus, I made sure again, like the top of the top was first. So aesthetically making sure that what a recruiter sees is the most impressive first, and being consistent in the way that you lay it out for each one. Just if you're italicizing it there, you're doing it on the next one. And, so having it just kind of clear and straightforward,
I think that's
special skills at the end. And you also always want to put a little bit of a mission statement or something like, hey, this is who I am. I'm a proactive this, I'm seeking a job this. But so just for practical purposes, I wanted to throw out those couple of things, because when people try to get too fancy and stuff with their resumes, it's confusing to the eyes.
Yeah. And I love what you said about selling yourself short. So this could be the same thing if you have a bio. So writing my bio is basically my resume, right? For me in my profession. And it's funny because I guess what happened in my head is like, I'm like, well, I don't want to sound like self-promoting. Sound self-promoting, like people need to know, so that same girl from the mastermind, the same woman, she was like looking at it. She's like, Tara, she's like, haven't you trained NFL players? Haven't you coached NFL players? I'm like, yeah. Where is that in your bio? And I'm like,
that's what I'm talking about.
And she's like, wait, you've had clients that are actively on TV right now and in movies? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, where is that in your bio? You train celebrities and professional athletes. You didn't put that in your bio? And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I should put that in there. She's like, yeah.
And my friend didn't put down the Jennifer Aniston and the Tom Hanks because we're all in Hollywood. And she's like, well, who cares? I'm like, everybody cares.
Everybody cares.
That these people trusted you, that someone trusted you to work with these freaking people. That means something.
Exactly. So yeah, it's not the time to be humble.
Like brag, and you're like, that's what this is about. And that's the other thing too. This all goes back to confidence, guys.
As
an employer, someone who hired people, again, you'd rather hire someone who's confident in the thing. You've got to gear yourself up for these interviews. You have to sell, you have to make sure that the vibe is like, you don't want anyone else but me. You're going to get off this interview and you're going to choose me. And that's not about being cocky, but that is about, with authenticity, really describing who you are. And you're going to have to say all of the things you think are awesome about you.
Yep. And isn't that funny how we struggle with that so much, but in an interview I have had to get comfortable with that in a place of just being like, yeah, I did that. It's almost ego that blocks you from doing that because you want to appear humble instead of just being clear.
Except for me, which, I'll just full force in it because I've done this with so many things, including getting rejected from UC Santa Cruz when I applied. And I was like, yeah, you made a mistake. I'm going to appeal that because I think you made the wrong decision. And I eventually got in. If you
Cool.
really want to get a job somewhere too, side note, being proactive. You want to work for a company, don't just look to see what they're hiring, call up their HR,
Yeah.
go on LinkedIn, find out, be aggressive. People, it's the way to get it done. When I first interviewed with Mark Sisson, now granted, he had 100 resumes. No, I was way overqualified for it. But when I met with Mark, like in his backyard to interview for him like 8 years ago for his assistant initially, I sold the shit out of myself. I mean,
Mm.
I was just like, this is what I did, this is what I do, da, da, da. And they were like, great, done. They didn't even look at another resume. They were like, you're in.
Yeah. That's
The other
amazing.
thing too is so funny. I was talking to one of my friends the other day who's looking for an assistant, and they've had some bad ones, and I think it's a story of their life that they've struggled with finding good people. And I said to them, I said, well, that's interesting because you have to think about this. Two men that I know in my life, Mark Sisson and this other guy, Dennis Beck, who hired me as a recruiter, they both manifested me as their first as their first executive, like first personal assistant ever. And they both scored. And to this day, both of those guys would be like, she's the fucking top of the top of what she does. They manifested me. How'd they do that?
Mm.
They weren't like LOA and spiritual at the time, probably about it, but they were probably just confident, like they're going to find someone good. You know what I mean? So if you're on the other
Mhm.
side of it, you're hiring too.
Mhm.
You got to think about your mindset there and who you keep attracting, because you're going to keep attracting, keep
True.
firing, keep attracting, keep firing. And it's going to be round and round, just like any other theme or pattern in your life. And what's funny is, so I was telling my friend this, I go, you have to think about it. Someone manifested me. Like you could manifest a me version for you. And they're like, oh my gosh, thanks for telling me the story. That just totally shifts my energy. 2 days later, they emailed me. They're like, not only did I find an assistant, her name is Ella. Like of all the things, like, and I was like, man, I'm not surprised the universe wasn't like, here's a little bit of laughter for you. So if you're on the other side of hiring too, and you're finding trouble with bad people, you got to revisit why that's a struggle, what's behind that. And also plenty of people have manifested incredible employees. I'm one
Yeah.
of them. So, so that's possible. And then also again, proactive versus action. Obviously, I'm all about the law of attraction, think and grow rich kind of principles with this. And I think that that's where you
Mhm.
start. If you're a person though that can't get out of that belief and you believe that it needs to be actions by submitting resumes and submitting resumes all day, okay, then do it to its full force. Like take that
Mhm.
action, really hit people up. I have seen so many people manifest jobs out of nowhere because they got into the right space, meaning like literally
Mm.
they just did that and a friend called and was like, oh, I know someone looking for such and such. I also want to say this too. Let's say you're like, well, I don't know this job. Like I don't know if I'm going to be good at it because I don't know it, like how, if I'm skilled or if I'm skilled enough. And look, there's always going to be doubts before any big job. I have lots of friends who make $250,000 a year in the corporate world, and when they get a promotion, they still have moments of like, starting a new job. And we're like, can
Right.
I? Oh shit, I told them I could do it. There's always going to be a moment of that. Even before you and I go on stage to speak or something, there's going to be a moment. We're
Yeah.
going to self-talk out of it. So there's always that moment. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think, trying the getting the centered first and believing the faith in the unknown versus in the action. Because also I see a lot of people, here's another one too. Sorry, I'm a little bit all over the place, but another
I
one
love it.
is people are okay, let's say you have a job right now that you hate. Okay, you fucking hate this job. I know someone who's in a job, a career they don't like anymore. It's boring, it's a phone in, they don't want it, they want something else.
Mm.
But they feel like with law of attraction, they're like, well, I don't want to be like so grateful for what I have now because I don't want the universe to get the wrong message that I like this job and then I'll be kept in this job. The universe knows what you want, dude.
Mhm.
It knows what you want. You don't have to be playing games like that.
Mhm.
You still should be grateful for the job that you have. In fact,
Yeah, definitely.
for all of the things, even if it's like, I'm just grateful I have a paycheck, even though I hate my boss. Just
Yep.
being grateful for where you are is not going to manifest more of it, but I guarantee that it's going to even manifest better stuff if you're
Yep.
find a way to be grateful for where you are now. If you've someone that's been bitching about your boss, bitching about your job, find the positives. Maybe the only positive is my asshole boss has made me much stronger in being able to stand up, or knowing that I definitely don't want a person like that in my life again. You can pick and choose whatever positives you want. Get in there, because when you're grateful for what you have more
Yep.
reasons to be grateful, and then you will probably get an awesome job.
And here's the other thing, like how you do anything is how you do everything. How you're showing up in that current job, you think you're not going to show up different in your next job? It's how you operate. Are you a person that provides excellence no matter where you go? Are you the type of person that what's going on in your current job where you feel like you're lacking or things aren't going well? Are you not communicating? Are you procrastinating? Are you dealing with feelings of unworthiness? You don't feel like you're good enough? Like you think that's going to be different in any other job? Nope, that's your stuff. So take the opportunity in whatever job you're in right now to work through your stuff and show up 100%. 100%. Like, dude, I am contributing everything. Not sometimes you can get into these mentalities of like, it's just because I don't like this job. Like I'm only going to give like 40% because I don't like this and I don't like the boss. That's how you operate. You suck. Sorry. You got some freaking work to do because if you want to do well in anything else, and you show up like that, that's not a habit or a mindset of a person who demonstrates excellence in their lives.
Yeah.
And that really hit me. I heard that somewhere, when I was kind of it was a humbling job. It was a little bit, my ego didn't like it, right? Because it was like, dude, why am I doing this for someone else? Like when I could do this myself, like, ugh, like it was a little humbling. And it was like, you be freaking grateful. Be freaking grateful and learn as much as you can while you're doing this. This is a beautiful freaking opportunity for you to like get into the passenger seat and learn and observe instead of always having to drive, So it was like, shut up, get your ego out of the way, be freaking grateful and learn and grow and see the value in it. And it reminds me of, somebody who I was in a mastermind with was sharing that Jack, they were friends with Jack Canfield, who's a motivational speaker. And they were in this, maybe I shared this, I'm not sure, but they were in this like personal development event where there was like a newbie speaker. And that person, the guy who was telling the story was like, I was sitting there like, oh God, this guy kind of sucks, like this is like not very good. And he said, and I looked over at Jack and he had a freaking notebook, a pen and pad, and he was sitting on the edge of his seat, eagerly learning everything he could from this person and taking notes. And he's like, that was a moment for me. Because I was like, here I was thinking there was no value to be able to extract from this experience. And somebody who I respect more than anybody who is excellent at what it is, what is he doing? He's demonstrating that he knows how to extract value from any situation that he's in. So he's demonstrating excellence. So whatever job you're in right now, like if your attitude is like, I freaking hate this, like I'm too good for this, whatever, you, like take a self check, take a look at yourself because you are not exhibiting patterns of excellence there.
Yeah.
Like show up 100%, like give more than is expected and then watch what happens in your career.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also I was thinking too, I had a chance in life where I was fearful of I was presented with two promotion opportunities. I was the assistant, 20 years ago to this guy, fast growing company. And they were like, I was his assistant for like several months. The company was exploding. And he was like, okay, you have a choice. You can either completely run our brand new international division, which would be me like bringing in workers from other countries to work at technology companies and facilitating that whole thing. So very administrative and kind of plug and play and something that was comfortable, at least in my mind. And then the other was, or you can go in sales with the rest of the recruiters and account managers. And I was so scared because like, I don't know anything about technology. Nothing. How am I going to interview a guy who programs in C++? And how do I know that he knows what to do? Because I don't know shit. I mean, it's the whole language I don't even know. And the other salespeople were like, listen, just trust us. They're like, go. And I'm glad I listened to them. They're like, go into sales. You are going to make way more money than if you go into this other salary paid position. And they're like, and you will learn, you'll pick it up. We are also not technical. We just learn this by listening and doing. So I sat around them in a pool, cubicles, and I, started getting trained by my fellow salespeople. And I picked it up. I still to this day cannot tell you what it means to like test a program on the back end and shit like that. But I forgot everything that I did learn then. However, I knew enough theoretically about the subject in order to interview people to know whether they knew enough to be hired. And that's all I needed to know, guys, was just the theoretical. It's the same thing almost like with thyroid, you don't even almost need to be a biologist. If you can understand it on a theoretical level, you'll get it. And so I mean, I'm so glad I took that chance because I eventually got disabled from that job. My arms got ruined, and I would not have had as big, as good of a payout there had I not gone into that position that made me so
Mm,
much money. So there's a lot of reasons I'm glad I took the risk, but also it was a challenge. I didn't play it safe there. I was a little bit scared. Some people were like, "Don't worry
mhm,
about it," and I took the
mhm,
shot, and I killed it. I actually became the most successful salesperson out of all those people
mm.
that taught me, and the
Wow.
youngest in the entire company.
Mm,
For someone that literally not technical at all. So if you're fearful, but you have to ask yourself, am I smart? Can I learn something?
yeah,
Let me see if I can try. Give it a shot. So what you don't know, you can learn, and that's what you can say in any interviews too. Like, hey, I'm a really quick learner and I'm proactive, so I'm
I love that.
confident in that whatever needs to be taught and whatever I need to grasp, I will catch on quickly. Those are the kinds of things you say when you're confronted with things you don't know.
I love what you're saying here because I think this is probably why most people earn way less than they could or have way less job satisfaction than they could is because they devalue themselves completely and saying like, well, I can't do that, I'm not worthy of that. It's this feeling of not enoughness.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, why not? Like, how, and I'll use health coaching as an example because I feel like a lot of people, at least because I am an online health coach, I attract a lot of people who are interested in doing that, and I find that almost all of them have these worthiness issues with it. Like, I'm never going to know enough. I'm never going to be educated enough to help people. Like, I'm almost embarrassed to tell my friends and family that I think I'm like good enough to
Yeah.
help health coach people. Like, it's very interesting. I'm like, okay, so let me ask you something. Like, why do you want to do it? Because that just seems so cool to help people get healthy for a living. Like that, I would love to do that. I'm like, so you have a genuine desire to help people? Yeah.
That's all you need.
So why are you unqualified? You're you learn as you learn as you go. Like, I'm grateful for so many of my clients because I've told them, like, the first time I got a type 1 diabetes client or the first time I got a hypothyroid client, I'm like, I haven't done this before. So if you want to, like, I can try. I don't specialize in this. Like, you may need a specialist, but we can follow up. Like, are you going to go to your naturopath? Okay, cool. Tell me what they say, and we'll work on it together. So that's like some of my first clients where I worked with those issues. I just had to be real with them. I'm like, this is new. Like, this will be a learning journey together. Okay. And so, like, don't be
And you have to
afraid.
have that if you want to get promoted and grow and expand, because any
Yeah.
employers that see people that are smart and bright, look, I have friends that got promoted during this pandemic at companies where it was near impossible to even get a raise or be promoted during this pandemic, like huge companies like Disney and stuff. And they still managed to do it because they kick ass as people. And
Mhm,
people go, I just want
mhm.
that person. They're great.
Exactly. Exactly, and if you have a willingness, if you're willing, like that, the attitude of willingness is
That's
so
huge.
important, and people see that, right? They understand that you care, and so, like, know what your innate values are, and then be real and be honest, but if you're, like, constantly willing, like I am, like, and this is what I wanted to say, like, if you feel like you don't know enough, you're not educated enough, you're not, you don't have all the huge resume that you need, like, you gotta start somewhere, and so I think, like, if you have somebody who's willing to give you space to learn, like your company was giving you space to learn that sales stuff, like if you have space to learn, if you believe in yourself that you can learn, how much more effective is that learning when you're in the position in which you're being paid for it and have to do it versus, for me, learning hypothyroidism the way I did with my clients was so much more effective than I felt like, than me going to a course and just A, B, C, or D, which one is free T3? What does free T3 do? Like, that wouldn't really matter to me in some obscure course. Oh, I
Right.
mean, I have taken the courses also, and that's cool,
Sure.
but I'm telling you, in the course,
Personal experience.
I didn't learn as effectively. It was theoretical. It wasn't like applicable. But when I've got Amanda, and Amanda's like telling me that her gut is messed up and when she eats this, and I'm super interested on how that's affecting her HPA axis, and like, oh, and she's got this going, like, that's a really effective way for learning. So don't cut yourself short on your ability to learn and grow and expand while you're in a position, as long as you have like the willingness and you have, a belief in yourself, and you know that you do have something of value to offer people, like, you can grow and get better as you go, so don't cut yourself short on that and be like, I'll never be enough, and so you don't even try.
Yeah, I also want to throw out a couple more sort of practical things as well. So let's just talk about like, okay, so I mean, all right, so because I had come from the corporate world, then I like
Yeah.
my arms get shot, then I'm like, oh, now I'm in Hollywood because I'm trying to use my voice. And so
Mhm.
I would show, I'm laughing at myself now. This is like 20 years when I first arrived here, I would show up to an audition dressed like as if I was going to a freaking like job interview. We're living in
Mhm.
Hollywood. People are like wearing jeans and tank tops and shit. Like actors are walking in all casual and stuff. And here I am, like
Mhm.
all proper and all business like, because that was my thing. And I remember I interned for these casting directors who I love, and they're like my fairy godmothers. And they once were like, "Hey, Elle, uh, you're too professional. You need to walk into this room when they're and be like, "Hi, my name's Al." And they're like, "Hello, I'm Elle Russ, and I'll be reading for the role of," like I was
Yeah.
so because I
Yeah.
wanted to be like professional.
Yeah.
No, your audience is a different game over here.
Mm.
The other thing too, so yeah, if you are going to go work at Google, maybe a three-piece suit is not the move because of the culture at Google, right?
Right.
Just practical applications there as well.
Yeah.
Mock interview. Do an interview with a friend or someone who can
Yes.
ask you tough questions and give you a bunch of shit you're probably not even going to get.
Or in the
Um,
mirror. I've done it in the mirror, practice in the mirror,
yeah,
or just
practice in the
driving
mirror.
around, practice.
Smile, eye
Mhm.
contact, really important for confidence. So really looking
Mhm.
that person in the eye and like just, unwavering. And also too, again, my mother, who is also very businesslike, and I probably got this from her, she was like well known for years and never had to look for a job, always recruited, but she had a big job with a huge company once and she didn't get it. She was like second to get it. And I guess the recruiter told her later, they're like, they loved you. They just didn't feel like you smiled enough.
Hmm.
And again, so and I had to warn a friend about that recently who had an interview who's very serious and businesslike and he lightens up when you
Mhm.
get to know him. But I said, hey, make sure you smile because I know his vibe.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, thanks for that reminder. So you know what I mean? Like you've got to
And
smile. You want to seem friendly and likable, not just like you're some hard ass. And particularly for
yeah.
women,
Yeah.
it's important to not come off in the way that they might interpret, right? So you
I
just
love that. Also, what comes to my mind, having grown up on the East Coast in Virginia and having, spent a lot of time in California, like even just culturally, it's a little bit different. I wonder if you being from Chicago, like I've noticed
yes,
in on the East Coast, if you go to any sort of nicer event, it's a very like formal look. Like you would wear like dress shoes and
yes.
like a dress and like dress slacks or whatever. But in
That's why I came
California,
here and didn't know what I was doing because everything is so glamorous in Chicago and very like you
yes.
might even be able to get in a club wearing a certain pair of
It's,
shoes
like,
when I was growing up.
fancier, the
Yeah,
style, the culture, or whatever, whereas in
conservative too.
California, it's very, like, laid back, cool, like, that's almost a success look on the West Coast is like, "Oh, I'm actually uber successful, but I wear jeans and a T-shirt." Like,
Yep.
that's culturally, that's more of the vibe a little bit, right? So, understanding that can help you, like, fit in better too, so I like the point that you're making there.
Also interviewing the interviewer, just taking some interest. Asking them
Mm.
how long have you worked here? How's it going? Like,
Yeah,
what
connecting.
do you love most about the company?
Yeah,
Anything positive, right?
love that.
That you can think of. And then have some pre-measured answers when they say, what do you need to work on or what are your faults? All right, go easy on yourself, but there's diplomatic ways to present some things that, and they're usually probably best phrased and things like, well, one thing I've been working on instead of like, well, I've got to work on, right? Like, oh, one
Mm,
thing I noticed, but I've worked on it is this,
yeah,
because that
that's
kind of
cool.
shows that you've taken,
You like yeah.
right,
That
right, right.
you're a driven, self-accountable person who's able to see their own shortcomings and then improve.
Right. Now you
Yeah.
want the interviewer to lead the interview. However, that doesn't mean that you can't, if they didn't ask you a question that you have a great answer for, say it anyway, meaning you can just say, I'd love to tell you why I want to work for this company.
Yeah. Another one of those, is presenting your desire, like being honest about how much you want to work for them. So I have a few people that work for me for their freelance independent contractors. And one of them, she is absolutely amazing. And when we first interviewed, she's like, yeah, this is a total win for me. Like, I really want to do this. Like, I'm so excited about this. Right. And so, because of that, I'm like, cool, yay. Like, the vibe is high. And she's been amazing. Like, I will do anything for her. Like, she is has just proven that she is just she's just incredible. Like I am so grateful for her. And because of that, like what is my desire? my desire is to continue to be able to compensate her more, to uplift her more, to provide more opportunities for her to shine, like, because
And the
I'm
day
getting
she
that.
buys a house because of you, that is literally like every employer's dream. When I used to work for my former
Mhm.
employer, they were so happy when their employees like bought a home. Or,
Exactly.
because to them it was like, oh, this is what I created this for.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, and that comes from her own personal willingness to be there and contribute. Now, on the flip side, I was considering hiring a guy to help me write training plans for clients, right? And he's a certified trainer, he's a really good trainer. I've seen him training people at the gym, and I considered hiring him. And I was like, okay, I was like, can you write me a sample? Like, this is how I do my training plans. Like, can you write me a sample one that you would do? And it was a 4-week training plan. And for the last 2 of those weeks, it just said same. And I was like, what does same mean? Same? Same what? And so I asked him, I was like, what's same? And he told me it was for them to do the same workouts that they did the month before that I had written again.
And by the way, I love
What?
this because my if that dude were my friend, I'd be like, well, you really screwed that up. Like you if in your example to get a job, you half-ass it, boy, that
Yeah,
says a lot. That
right.
says a lot. Yeah.
A lot. So do you think I hired that guy? No, because his willingness was like zero. Like, I, I'm like, how? I don't even understand how you could even think that was okay. Like,
On
even
that
as
note,
the level lack of professionalism. Like, I'm like, you would really do that to a client? You would not progress them in their training and just have them repeat the same stuff because that's less work for you to do? Whoa, And so,
yeah.
yeah, show your desire in the interview. Like, don't hold back. If this is like your dream job, like, just be like, there's nowhere else I would rather work. Like, I will do everything I can to contribute to this company. Like, this is meaningful to me. Like, I really want to be here. I just want you to know that. Like, people are human. They're going to feel that. It's like, okay, this guy's driven. Like, he is going to want to perform for us. Like, let them know that if this is like your dream scenario, like in a way that's still self-confident, but let them know, like, this is like, I will show up for you. This is everything in my life has been driving towards working for, Owens Corning or whatever it is. Like, this is it for me, like, I will show up. So I don't know. I think that showing them right out of the gate your commitment, your desire, your work ethic, like how bad you want to be there, they're going to feel that. And they're going to, I would say, way like 10x the likelihood of them hiring you and also promoting you more
Mhm.
quickly as they see you exhibiting that passion and desire to contribute.
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to think of a couple more things.
There was one other thing I wanted to add, and it was connections. So just in general on getting jobs, like, who do you know? So let's say you're in a position where you don't have a job right now, or you know what I mean? Like, who do you know? Human connection is everything. Don't be afraid to reach out and tell people. Like, if you don't tell people you need help, well, you're on your own. But like, who do you know that may possibly have something? Like, it's like, do you know them from church? Do you know them from the neighborhood? Is it a friend of a friend? And just say, hey, I'm just wondering if you guys are hiring at all. Like, your likelihood of getting hired because it's a personal friend is going to go way up, right? And then be willing to show your value, right? Don't just be like, hey, I need a handout. It's like, hey, I'm looking for something and this is what I can do. Like, still show up in a place of empowerment and know your value, but don't be afraid to like connect through friends, because your likelihood of getting hired, like, in my opinion, like 10x's when you do that. So it's like, think
Yeah.
about it though, right? Don't just wait for it to land in your lap. You could do that too. You can ask the
Put the
universe, you
feelers
can
out there like,
meditate,
hey, I'm looking for a gig. If anyone knows of something interesting you think might be a fit for me,
speak up.
yeah, speak up. And then also too, and oh, so when I would hire people, now I had really great employees and I feel like I was a great interviewer, but there were a couple people that had gotten fired. And here's the truth. And this is the truth about life. The shit that's the red flag in the interview is the reason is exactly why that person will get fired later. So let's
Wow.
say you interview someone, they're really, like, for example, in this situation, this guy was technically really great. He could do the job, but he kind of seemed like maybe he had a little bit of attitude, but God, it was a hard position to fill. We filled it. What did he get fired for? He didn't really work well with others and, the
Well,
community at the place
yeah.
didn't like him. And that kind of goes for dating and a lot of other things too, right? So if you see some red flags, those are probably not going to go away, and they're important. You can increase someone's confidence. So if it's that may not be a big red flag. The other thing too is if you're on the side of being an employer, sharing them how you feel about being an employer. Like, hey, I plan on people who are loyal and step up. Like there's no distance to where I can't take you, or I'm happy to promote from within.
Mhm.
Even if it's an entry level job, let's say it's someone who's assistant right out of college, like, I know this is something you don't want to do for the rest of your life, but if you kick ass for me, I'll help you. Also, recommendations. So yes, you have references. It is kind of important in this day and age to be on LinkedIn, which I wasn't aware of many years ago, but it really is important to
Yeah.
be on LinkedIn. So making sure you have an account, and also on LinkedIn, you can have people like write
Yeah.
reviews of you, so
Yeah.
do that as much as you can. Yes, you're going to have references that people can call, but it's really awesome if someone writes a damn letter for you and you
Yeah.
have that ready to go, to be like, here's 3 off the bat, and you can call them. Anything you can do to get ahead of the line of
Yeah.
people, you are going to stand out of the crowd on that one,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
all this stuff.
Anything to not be a piece of paper.
Yes.
Right? Anything that sets you apart, even like I hire people on upwork.com. Like even if they have like a picture, or just the fact that they took, when I'm looking for some little job that I need, the fact that they took extra time to say like, "Hey Tara, like I think I'm a really good fit for you because of this, this, and this." I'm like, "Okay." Like versus I can tell it's just some copy and paste thing, blah, blah, blah. Like that makes them stand
Personalizing it.
out. Yeah. So anything you can do to just stand out and be a little more human is
Mhm.
huge on getting it. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. I
So,
think that's pretty much it for this one. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys. It was a little more practical episode today, but hopefully it got you thinking if getting hired or getting advancement in your career or profession is something that you're looking for right now.
I do want to add real quick. I'm so sorry, but we didn't really talk about this. I'll just gloss over it. But so when you are talking about salary and negotiating things like that, you have to remember that everything is negotiable.
Yeah, good point.
Vacation, so maybe maybe the benefits aren't that great. Well, fuck it. You want an extra week of vacation, that's when it's
Yep.
important to you. You also find recruiters. These people are working nonstop versus you just filling a job. And a lot of companies are using recruiters to fill the job as the middleman. So go get yourself established and submit your resumes to tons of recruiters,
Yeah.
job recruiting companies around the place. When talking about salary, it's different if you're working with a recruiter, because you can talk a little bit more honestly. I think it's important to find out what's the minimum. Like, there's no way I'm working for less than 50 grand, right? Okay. So let's say
Yeah.
just that's it. Great. Then let's say you really, 50 is your minimum, you really want 60. Well, ask for 60, they might come down to 55. You got to know that there's going to be some room there where someone might come back to you. They also might just accept it, but they might come down about 5K or something like that. So again, really declaring your worth. When I have seen this happen, it's really the people that come in and are like, I'm not going to make less than 70K a year, or whatever they declare, and they get it. And it's the people that are like, well, somewhere between this and this. Hey, if you asked me to pay you somewhere between 50 and 60K, I'm going to pay you who's going to offer? I mean, maybe not me, but I might be like, hey, you're selling yourself short.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? In fact, that happened with someone who asked to do something. They're like, oh, I'll only charge you that. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to let you do that. I'm going to pay you more. So really figuring out what's your worth, what's your bottom line, and factoring all these things in and seeing what's negotiable from here. The other thing too, that a lot of people don't know, when you're in higher level positions, usually over like 6-figure K salaries, you can negotiate a 6-month guarantee or a year, meaning like, all right, I'm going to go in this new endeavor. I just left this company after a decade of working here. I don't know what's going to happen. This is a startup. You can guarantee that salary. You can be like, hey, if shit goes to hell in a handbasket and you guys fire me for whatever reason in 6 months, short of, harassment or whatever, I get that salary guaranteed. So there's so many things to negotiate with, but I think the most is, what do you really want, and shooting for that versus what you're willing to settle with. There's something in between there. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's just knowing your value. And it is like when you're trying to get a job, it's that little bit of a dance between like asking for what you're worth, instead of being in this like scarcity mindset of like, I'll just take whatever you give me. Like, what do you think I'm worth? Okay, yeah, I'll take that. It's like getting past that a little bit and seeing yourself, find out what other companies pay people with your similar skills, like know that. So anyway, I love all of that. We'll go ahead and wrap this one up. Make sure that you guys please come join us on Facebook. It's Kick-Ass Life Podcast is the name of our Facebook group. And again, if you want access to all of our video episodes, we link those on our our website, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's just, hopefully you're watching us on here, but it's just youtube.com/kickasslifepodcast. And then on our website, kickasslifepodcast.com, all the video episodes are linked there. And we also highlight the things that we mentioned in episodes, books, products, discounts, and all of that. So join us there. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully this was a valuable episode for you guys.
See you next week.